Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Have you ever thought about writing your own book? No matter what you do, the benefits of becoming an author are so enormous that if it has never crossed your mind to write your own book, you may want to begin to think seriously about it. We have a guest who will share useful tips on how to write a book. We'll be showing you that later on in the program. Now, let's talk about something that intrigues many people in the world of books. You have probably heard of the name Alfred Nobel. He was a Swedish chemist, engineer, inventor, businessman, and philanthropist who died in 1896. Before he died, Nobel had invented 355 different things, but the one he was most famous for was the dynamite, which many people describe as perhaps the precursor to modern-day bombs. Alfred Nobel had about 90 factories for military weapons and equipment. Legend has it that one day, after reading a premature obituary which condemned him for profiting from arms, he decided to bequeath his fortune to establish the now globally respected Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prizes were to be in 5 areas: chemistry, physics, peace, physiology or medicine, and literature. That was the genesis of what we now know as the Nobel Prize for Literature, which has been awarded 109 times to 113 winners between 1901 and 2016. Since the Nobel Prize for Literature was established, many literary prizes have followed. Perhaps the most renowned of them is the Man Booker Prize, which was introduced in 1969. The winner receives £50,000 and is guaranteed a worldwide readership plus an increase in book sales. The winner for the 2016 edition of the Man Booker Prize was recently announced. He is Paul Beatty for his book titled The Sellout, which is published by small independent publisher One World. The 54-year-old New York resident winner is the first American author to win the prize in its 48-year history. In Nigeria, prizes like the NLNG's Nigeria Prize for Literature and the Etisalat Prize for Literature have become important to Nigeria's literary community, and in terms of their prizes, they are very much globally prestigious. We have 2 guests on the program who will be sharing their thoughts on literary prizes. Chuma Nwokolo is a Nigerian lawyer, writer, publisher, and the author of acclaimed books like Diaries of a Dead African, The Ghost of Sonny Abacha, and The Extortionist. Azafi Omoluabi-Ogasi is a managing editor and co-founder of Parasia Publishers. They both discussed the merits and downsides of literary prizes. Chuma, Azafi, thank you for joining us on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you, Kunle.
Nice to have you here. Nigeria Prize for Literature. Abubakar Adam Ibrahim just won.
Yes.
Internationally, Bob Dylan just won the Nobel Prize for Literature. What do you think about literature prizes, or some might call it literary prizes? What do you think? Some people say they are not useful. Some people say we absolutely need a lot more. What are your thoughts about literary prizes? Let me start with Chuma.
I was looking at her because she's just published a prize winner. But my approach to prizes is quite well known. I do not believe that that is the best way it can improve our literature. I think it's very good for the winner. It's very good for the industry as a whole. It gets books talked about. But it's usually very good for a mature book economy. It's good in the sense that if you have a mature book economy where you have very good publishers, very good distributors, very good lots of readers, then a prize brings a worthy book to the attention of everybody and increases book sales, increases book dispersal.
Okay.
But in our kind of environment right now, I think, for instance, you probably find that NLNG is spending close to $1 million in order to deliver this $100,000 prize to my friend who won it this time, Abubakar Ibrahim. So the question we need to ask is this the best expenditure of that kind of resources at this moment? Now, I think that the readers are in great peril. If you look at the last statistics, we have about 11 million children of school age in Nigeria who are out of school. So you begin to realize that we have structural problems in our reading ecology, which have to be tackled, and very, very urgently too. Because that's 11 million people who will not be reading at all in their lifetime. So these are critical areas that we need to pay attention to. So we need to do a lot about book distribution, a lot about reading, a lot about the structure of the book selling. And we also need to make sure and find out why, for instance, a winner of a $100,000 prize will find it difficult without extra help to sell 5,000 copies of books a year. That, I think, is a real question we need to ask ourselves.
I'm sure you must have a very different view. You published the latest winner
book.
of the Nigeria Prize for Literature.
Yes, Parasia did. Parasia Publishers did. And I tend to agree with Chuma because as a publisher, there's a bigger picture to that we can take away from the prize. Okay, fine. Parasia won this year with Season of Crimson Blossoms, and we're happy, you know, that an author of ours has made international acclaim and all. But as Chuma said, without the prize, why is it difficult to move quantity in the first place? Now, he went a bit high to say 5,000 copies. I would say, why is it so difficult?
Nice. 1,000
Exactly. Why is it so difficult to move? Okay, let's be fair. Why is it so difficult to move 2,000 copies? Now, is it that we do not have, because they'll say Nigerians do not read. And I've always said I disagree. It's not that we don't read, it's where are the books to be read? And how much do these books cost? So yes, the Nigerian, you know, NLND has done a wonderful thing. They've been able to give $100,000 to a single Nigerian. And in this time of recession, I mean, that's beautiful. But other than that, if there was a structure that recognized that a Nigerian publishing industry does exist and needs to be noticed and needs to be helped. I'm stressing on these things because we have difficulties with distribution, and it's not just distribution because, okay, with this win, for instance, we've had people asking for the books from the north, from the east, from the south. I mean, from places I do not even think contemporary bookshops exist, because in the East, for instance, there are a few bookshops, but in my mind, it's the textbook and pirated store bookshops that exist. Now, do contemporary bookshops exist in all these states where we can say,
the younger bookshops,
you know,
basically?
There aren't any, and if there are they reliable enough to work with? So there are so many issues that we wish, you know, could be addressed outside the price.
But how, I mean, some people would look at they will argue that there's a bigger picture. Look at the Nigeria Prize for Literature, for instance. Its introduction seemed to have sparked off some kind of literary revolution. Because when you go back to 2004, I think the first one was 2004, you know. After 2004, there have been more literary prizes. Not enough, though, but, I mean, we've had more literary prizes come into play. Some of these writers who won the prize have become more known and inspired so many other writers and all that. So somebody might argue that, I mean, that's a bigger picture to look at rather than the mere $100,000 given to the prize winner. What do you think about that?
Well, I think a prize does something. It's about institutionalizing a writer. For instance, you have a faculty of the prize faculty that looks at all the books published and decides these 10 writers are the best in a lot. That kind of puts them in a category. And then they choose out of a 10, this is the best of the best. Yeah. So that kind of creates an institution of a writer.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. And it says, whatever this person speaks, it speaks for, you know, yeah. So, but what it does as well, which is the dangerous thing, is to attract practically the attention of the entire writing community into a particular standard. So that after you look at the prize given of a particular award group over a period, if the prize is attractive enough, you could actually find the gravitation of the entire creative energies of that country or the group into that direction.
But the Nobel Prize has not done that.
The Nobel Prize
hasn't done that.
The Nobel
Even
Prize,
though it has its own controversies. Bob Dylan, a lot of people are saying Dylan shouldn't have won the recent prize because he's a songwriter rather than the classical writer as we know them. And so many other debates around the Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Prize actually does do that. What it does is it draws attention to a particular, and that is even if you look at Alfred Nobel's will, what he was basically saying is he wants to approve a certain direction, certain value. So when an award is made, it's more like drawing the attention of the world in this direction, look in this direction. And so it's a kind of a left turn or a right turn or a forward march. And if you look at the kind of awards they make, for instance, the criticism against the Nobel Prize is that it's always very Eurocentric. Most of the awards have been to Europe. Most of them have been to Sweden. You know, so it's a kind of parochial award on a large scale. But it always does take attention to a particular direction. And so whether it's the King Prize, the NLNG Prize, the Nobel Prize, it's actually expected that when you make an award in this direction, you draw the attention of people in that direction. Yes. And if anybody's interested in winning the prize next time, he has to look in the direction that the judges have looked the last time.
And then begin to...
And then, so you find that it actually does affect the writing.
Yeah.
So if you make bad choices, you're going to end up, you know, pulling the writing energies of your community in a particular direction. So you have to now say, what is the quality of your prize judges? How global is their outreach? For instance, lots of people say, Ngugi should have won this prize, it shouldn't have been Bob Dylan. These are all value judgments. But in saying, let's give it to a songwriter, you are definitely making a judgment about the kind of literature you should expect to see, you know, in the future. But if you had said, let's give it to Ngugi, you might look at what the sort of writing he's done, the sort of focus on African languages. And you might find that some people might say, let's try and write in an African language. It's not such a stupid decision after all. So you see that the prize, the object of the outlook of the prize judges has a fundamental impact on the writing, the creative writing of people.
Okay, but from a business perspective, you run a publishing business.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, it seems to be good for the publishing houses who publish the books that win these prizes.
Yes, it is.
Isn't that correct?
Yes, it is.
So you shouldn't be complaining more, should you?
It's as I said, because for instance, we, you know, apart from Abubakar and this win, we're also going to be having submissions because our aim is to look for new writers. So it just means that we will have new writers who want to write like Abubakar, who think, oh God, okay, we've seen that it is literary fiction that's good enough
wins such
to
awards.
Win a prize. So let's all lean in that direction and try to write like that. So, you know, instead of having
the natural variety.
yes, a
Yeah,
natural
more diversified type of writing.
Instead of having a writer who wants to write because
he can write,
yes,
yeah.
you now have writers who will lean in a particular direction of, oh, okay, if he could win a prize writing like that, let's see if this will work.
So right now, there are quite a number of writers who are studying Abubakar's book at the moment.
Then I've seen people
for the
who
next
have
$100,000
that, oh, I'm going to win that prize next. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, thank you very much, Azafi and Chuma, for joining us on Channels Book Club. Nice having you here.
Thank you.